Good evening, everyone. Happy Guru Purnima to everyone. And again, we are in the Banamahotsav week, so happy Banamahotsav week to everyone. Uh, from the team Rohit Nature, wish we everyone very good evening and welcome to the session. This is our fourth live session on the topic that a very prominent one and the most one of the most interesting topic, scopes and challenges in wildlife research. Continuing continuing our previous sessions further, I think that wildlife research is a high quality scientific knowledge sharing and it gives data and ideas for the managers and actually it promotes the wildlife conservation or the nature conservation the best of the world. So to continue further, we have three eminent personalities from their own respective fields, and also this we are going to have a great session, and this will be a benchmark, or I can say as a career counseling kind of uh, thing for the new students or the young students who want to pursue wildlife research as a career and to continue it as a career. Uh, so, with of the best hopes and wishes, we have got three very important case papers and also will be enlightening ourselves with the knowledge sharing, and it will be helpful for all the students and the young students. So, hoping for the best. So now we have Dr. Hemanta Kumar Sahu, Professor and HOD, PT Department of Zoology, Orissa University. Sir, namaskar. Welcome, sir.
Namaskar.
Uh, with a vast experience of 28 years in the research sector, we have 14 research projects, 12 books, 10 research scholars, 10 PhD awarded under him. He is the recipient of Biodiversity Conservation Award 2014 2019. He has 80 numbers of journals and publications in his name. He has visited USA, Malaysia, Thailand, etc. many number of the countries for training and international symposium. He attended many number of the um, research research seminars and symposiums. The most prominent is being a professor and the HOD of Zoology Department, Northeast University. They have conducted numerous researches in numbers of protected areas in Orissa, like Similipal Tiger Reserve, Mangrove Forest Division, Sunabada Forest Division, Baleswar Forest Division, Bhadrak Forest Divisions, and many others. Many of the young students they have worked under him, they have learned from him, and they are already posted in a variety of eminent research institutions. So, I welcome you again, and hope so will be enlightening us with your knowledge and your inspiration to the young students. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
We have Shri Ajit Satpathy, DFO, Keonjhar Wildlife Division, with a vast experience of 30 years in the management sector or the management field. So he was instrumental in relocation of villages from Similipal Tiger Reserve. He had developed grassland development program in Similipal Tiger Reserve. He has uh, contributed a fine structural and engineering structure, we can say, in rainwater harvest and water conservation measures. It can be called as one of the milestones. He has carried out scientific investigation and elephant death research in the Tiger Reserve. He has carried out satellite-based monitoring of food patrolling. He has organized rescue of animals and created social barriers for wild animals. From his vast experience, he is closely associated with different local organizations, or you can say the local resources, and during his tenure in scientific research at Tiger Reserve, he has carried out many benchmark programs and started many benchmark programs. And in his present division also, he is carrying out and continuing this thing. So, Hope so we'll be having a very nice session and interactive session with you, and we'll be enlightening us with what the different research prospects of the wildlife research in the forest department and how the young students can pursue them. We have Dr. Jaykrishna Panigrahi. He is a retired leader in zoology, and at present he is working as Secretary Orissa Science Orissa Environmental Society. With a vast experience of 28 years in academic sector, academic field, he is known as his very heartily accepted by his students because of his soft work and understanding nature. He has visited different universities in Germany, Berlin, USA, and Georgia to attend number of seminars and give talks. He has 75 research papers, and most prominent to him is he acted as the convener of Orissa 𝐒𝐵𝐔𝐵𝐺𝐴N Parivesh Congress, one of the most successful seminar conducting organization in Orissa. He is awarded with Puchupatnaik Award for Wildlife Conservation, Bhubaneswar Division in the year 2014. He has achieved Lifetime Achievement Award by Niger and a well-known face in the TV channel, and you can say one of the most prominent conservationists wildlife. Um, so um, he gives his views instantly, and maybe I think he's a well-known name in everyone's household. So we have all the three very eminent personalities from different sectors. Uh, so as we know, because already what we have discussed, wildlife research is one of the most prominent and the important sector if you talk about forest management and the wildlife management. Generally, the young students they enter into this sector, they pursue their career, and uh, they wish to continue their career. Once they enter into a graduation, from the graduation, once they enter into university level, university plays a very important and a crucial role. How students want to pursue or how they want to continue into this sector, how to continue their passion into a profession. It's a very important. Passion is something, profession is something. Universities are doing incredible jobs, and particularly in Orissa, we have three important wildlife departments. One is Orissa University, Koraput University, and right now what we have seen the 𝐾𝐿 University. Orissa University, I can say it's the pioneer in wildlife research sector. Sir Hemanta sir, so you are very popular among the students because you guide them with a powerful message also you give to them. Uh, so, what do you think? How a student, those who are entering into just entering into a PG or post graduation, the MPhil, how do they pursue their career? How do they convert their passion into a professional level? What are the challenges do they face at the university level, and what the scope the university provides to them? Dr. Hemanta sir.
Hello. 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 Yes. Will you hear me? Could you repeat the question? Hello.
I can't hear.
Gayatri, could you repeat the question again? Yes. Now, could you repeat the question?
Gayatri, please repeat the
Could you
question.
hear me?
Okay. Uh, but sir, ମୁଁ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଶୁଣି ପାରୁନି. I can't hear any one of you.
There is some problem somewhere.
Okay.
Okay.
So the question is, so the question actually is, when connection is there, connecting. So let me check this Bluetooth.
Yeah, checking.
Can you-
Yeah, first check because we are unable to hear the question here.
Dept नहीं हो रहा है। नहीं हो रहा है। अच्छा, क्या हो है?
Hello. हेमंत सर आप सुनी पार्छन बोली
हाँ मु सुनी पड़छ सर आपण सुनी पड़छ क्लियर
जयकृष्ण सर भी सुनी पार्छन
ठीक अछि, everything fine, but except the host.
आमे होस्ट सुनी
yes,
पड़ नाती होस्ट या टेस्ट रु जणा पड़ुची से कहउछन आमे स्टार्ट करिवा बोली माने चैट मैसेज रे तो हेमंत सर को टिके पचरा हितरा जे आज का जो फ्यूचर जनरेशन दे आर कमिंग to the research level
आଜ୍ଞା
and all the students semanko what are the scopes prizes achi
okay
in Orissa and all so how to start with take introductory level apni you can start with the introduction level
okay okay sir ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ
meanwhile
କହିବି ନା ଗାୟତ୍ରୀ ଆସିଲା ପରେ
na apna kohuntu
ଗାୟତ୍ରୀ ଆସିଲା ପରେ
meanwhile she will join apna kohuntu
okay okay so welcome to all of you and so after graduation people students they generally go for PG that we all of us know in Orissa wildlife department is present only in North Orissa University and it is opened in 2002 and at that time there was no other university in Orissa which was offering wildlife and conservation biology in this state. So during that period generally students are very much interested in laboratory work. No one is interested for any field work. So to motivate the students in 2002 this university has got only 5 students in the first year. So all these 5 students who have passed from this department is now well engaged in their profession. They are well established and they are doing good in the field of wildlife research. To encourage wildlife research, there are also other universities in India. Now they are offering wildlife courses like Aligarh Muslim University, then Wildlife Institute of India, and there is Zoology University, then there is Saurashtra University, and there is Garhwal University, and Calicut, Osmania, and Amravati. There are so many universities now. They are offering wildlife courses according to this new scopes that students are getting. Because nowadays biodiversity and wildlife, they are and the climate change, they are the main three themes. The students are mainly interested, and they can be engaged in and they can be well placed. So I think in Orissa, this North Orissa University and another is in Central University, there is a biodiversity course. The students who are interested in wildlife research can take admission in these two universities to carry out their research in wildlife.
Uh, Sorry for my fault because my Bluetooth is not connecting. I have to connect with the laptop. Sorry, I'll connect with my mobile. Okay. Uh, Sir, I think you have focused. I think you have gave light on the different courses or the different institutions those are providing wildlife research. And there are many career options and the students to pursue the branch of the field wildlife research. Uh,
Now your question is not audible.
the next thing is coming. Suppose somebody is interested and they are turning into the wildlife research sector. The main problem again comes about the funding because that is called as one of the important that is called as the one of the most important aspect of you know mm, continuing the passion or the continuing into going into the profession. So what are the different possibilities or the chances or the scopes of funding resource, funding source that are provided by the university being
For the
asked by the
students,
students? What are the
okay,
different
after there
the
are
funding options?
okay, there are so many organizations now. They are taking our students after passing out in from wildlife department, like WWF, WTI, BNHS, SACON, and MOEF, and OTRI, and there are so many organizations. And beside this, in the Northeast, there is one organization, Aranyok. They are taking our students who are not only working in India, also they are working in abroad in the field of wildlife. And regarding that funding agencies, the funding agencies are mainly the DST, DBT, MOEF, and particularly our forest department. Government of Orissa also funded so many projects to our university, because I have got not less than 12 projects from government of Orissa, from forest department, in various national park and sanctuaries of Orissa, including Similipal, Bhitarkanika, and Kuldia, Sunabeda, and Tilka. So there are so many funding opportunities, and the students, they can apply for any funds to carry out their research in wildlife.
I think Gayatri is having another system close to her, so that there is interference. There is interference.
I think so. Yeah.
Some internet issues. She
Yeah,
has some
Yes.
internet issue.
if two systems are close to each other, this sort of problem arises.
Okay. I think she has two systems
Yes.
nearby.
Yes.
So actually, how many students now there in Odisha is pursuing for research in wildlife? Hemant sir,
How many?
students now at present in Odisha there must be active students, you can say, enrolled in the universities and all. In Odisha condition, how many students should be there pursuing for wildlife?
In
Because in
pursuing
northern,
wildlife in North
yeah,
Orissa University.
North Odisha,
No, we have actually yes, we have in North Orissa in the wildlife in the PG department. We have actually 30 seats.
36.
30 seats, but the 30 seats, and one problem is that the majority of them are girls, and we are unable to give them field-oriented work. So now they are converted to some laboratory-based work along with field-oriented. They collect the sample from the field and analyze in the laboratory. But initially, when we are getting the majority of the male students, they are staying in the field and working in the field, including Similipad. But we cannot allow a girl to stay inside the Similipad and to do the work. It will be a problem for our in the working in the field. That is the main problem now. And now the seat is around 28. Department is going to be regularized within 1 year because already government has sanctioned it as a regular department. Already it is sanctioned as a regular department. And it is already advertised also that only the interview has to be conducted. Then I think they may get scope to do good work.
I think Ajit Babu's question was a little different in the sense he is interested to know how many students after passing out from the university they have taken this wildlife research as a career. Still they are continuing in the field of wildlife research, or being involved with other organizations or NGOs. How many of them? What percentage of them are in real sense working in the field of wildlife research?
Well, actually exact number I cannot say because majority of the students who are passed from this. Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
please go on. Please go on.
In a majority of the students, they are involved in wildlife research. So more than 40% of the students are engaged. More than 40 to 50% students in PCCA wildlife office. The students are working in Similipal Tiger Reserve. The students are working in Angul Satkusia Reserve. The students are working in out of state. They are in Aranyok. The students are working in WTI. They are engaged in WWF. They are engaged in all over, in all the organizations they are engaged. These North Orissa students are engaged. And also in some of the projects of Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun also they are working now.
That's good. That's good.
Yes. Now host.
Okay, Madam Gayatri, you can start.
Sorry, sir. There is network issues and I cannot connect. Sorry for continuing the program, but also. Okay. So I think sir have gave all the information about the students working in different sectors and different locations, and really many of the North Orissa University students, I think I can say most of the North Orissa University students, they're getting engaged and they're absorbed in different types of projects in the Wildlife Institute of India, and they're doing incredible job. It's a very that the Odisha name is really high. If we if we will observe in case of Wildlife Institute of India. So where the point is coming. So university is doing this level best to involve the students or to motivate the students or to they are doing. But again, we are coming when a student is entering into a graduation sector, when they're completely plus two student, they don't know anything about wildlife and the research, the scopes and the challenges. So how it is important or how much pressure on a teacher or a lecturer to pursue them. Okay, you come and enter into a wildlife sector because the world needs you. Your data are needed, your information are needed, and really an enthusiastic person is needed in the field of wildlife research because enthusiastic person they can contribute better for the management perspective. So you have already a much experience of academic sector and you are in close connect with the students. So how it is important? Do you face any challenge being a teacher, being a lecturer? How do you connect with the students that okay, you come and get into this beautiful sector, beautiful research sector. That question, sir. Jai Krishna sir, can you hear me?
Yes.
So that the question was for you that how to pursue a student that okay, you are not just a life science students or geology students. You have to, you can contribute to a better contribution in the field of wider research. When so, how it is important for a lecturer at a graduation level to pursue them. Okay, you come and enter into this sector and contribute to your best part.
You see, so for graduation is concerned, it is little different.
Yes.
When you are going to have post-graduation, that too in a specific field, and the field like wildlife, it's something different. Here the question of one's commitment, one's passion, one's vision, one's mission, all these things are very vital, very important. So a student must be having conviction whether he is prepared for all these things in future life. So far, wildlife research is concerned, if we discuss about the scopes, you see, the student has to realize that this is completely a different field of study and research. Wildlife, ecology, environment, some years back, maybe 50 years back, these were in a state of non-entity, and presently these topics or these subjects have gained much significance, and people are treating these subjects with much seriousness. So when one is entering into the field of wildlife research, here the student has to deal with biology, ecology, climatology, geography, mathematics, chemistry, and environmental law, like this many subjects. It's a multidisciplinary sort of things. So that sort of approach must be there with the student, so that with full commitment, the student will pursue this career in wildlife research. After studying post-graduation or MSc in wildlife, then he or she has to enter into research arena. He has to undertake many field projects, go to the field. There are so many challenges. So mentally being prepared to handle all these things, so one must enter into this field. This is the prerequisite requirement to enter into wildlife area. Okay.
Yes. So because we are into the sector and we have experience that we can know that okay, these are the different sectors. But when a student enter into, they only knows life science, zoology, botany, something like that. So can we provide them career counseling kind of a thing or short term, introductory classes or introductory programs so that they can know exactly these are the different options are there available in the wildlife research sector. Wildlife research is not a no single one. It have many fragments are there, many subsections are there. So can you provide them at a graduation level or at a university level? So the question is for both Jai Krishna sir and Hemanta sir because approach
Okay,
is
let me finish first. If we are discussing about career building in wildlife management, so to be pinpointed, to be specific, so one can go into government agencies, one can enter into academics, wildlife photography, outreach specialists, writing of job opportunities are there. So
Some audio problem is
Dr.
there.
Yes, sir. Dr. Hemanta sir, can
spreading
you please?
awareness for working with NGOs. If somebody is working with NGOs for some span of time, he or she is having some advantage to add to his today, so far, wildlife is concerned at the international level and national level, we are having a lot of opportunities. You see, international organizations such as IUCN, WWF, Greenpeace, Conservation International, Natural Resource Defend Flora International, Rhino Fund, BirdLife International, like this. Many organizations, they are working in the field of wildlife and environment. Even if you go to the entertainment and educative TV channels, we are having so many channels like Animal Planet, National Geographic, Discovery, etc., which are attracting the attention of many. I would like to cite one more example. How much emphasis is being laid on the wildlife? This is evident from the Sustainable Development Goals that was designed in 2015 up to 2030. Goal 15, goal number 15 of SDGs. It states or gives emphasis to protecting terrestrial and freshwater biodiversity for sustainable use, integrating wildlife conservation with sustainable development. So at the international level, there is also much emphasis is being laid or given for the study and research in wildlife. Okay, so if we consider all these things in comparison to what was happening presently, the students are having much better opportunity, better scope so far wildlife field is concerned, in planning, programming, conservation initiatives, in everything. A lot of researchers, they are working throughout the world. The scope or opportunity has enhanced in the meantime. So that's why, because everybody has realized without protecting the biodiversity, protecting the wildlife, we cannot move forward, because as long as our ecosystems are protected, biodiversity are conserved, the humanity is having a good future. The goods and services that we are deriving, these are from our ecosystems, from other species of living organisms. That's why protection of biodiversity, protection of wildlife, this is of utmost importance at present. Everybody has realized this. That's why emphasis is being given on protection and conservation of wildlife. That's why study and research has a prominent, promising future. Okay, that's my opinion.
It's have a promising future. Also,
Now, Dr. Sau can speak further.
Yes.
Okay, this actually wildlife research, as Panivai sir has told, it is true. Initially, there was not much scope was available. Nowadays, it was available. The students can go for any kind of research that he has mentioned in to study of the ecosystem, flora and fauna of local area or national park. So that they can carry out their own career in this line, and the students are also make their future in this line, and they make their name and fame in making wildlife research into a good position. And the students of this university, after passing out from PG, many of the students they have also done PhD in wildlife. So after completion of PhD, they have engaged, as Panilai has told, in WWF, in WTI, Wildlife Institute of India, in Amity University, and in Aranyak. So I think wildlife research now has come to its peak, and the students can take it as a career to do the research in wildlife research.
That's a very positive sign that wildlife research is at its peak, and the students can take it as a career. The next part is coming. Suppose the students are entering into wildlife research
Okay,
and
Gayatri,
sir, yes sir, sir, you want to say something?
you see, I would like to add something more. In case of wildlife research, there are a number of fields further. Uh, it starting from applied ecology, conservation biology, ecosystem management, management of overabundant pest and invasive species, global change and wildlife management, diseases and their impacts on wildlife, human dimensions on management and conservation. So like this, then assessing management outcomes and implications of wildlife research for policy development. Like this, a lot of multiplicity in each of these fields. There are so many fields. So I would like to elaborate to one more example with applied ecology. Typically, it is focusing on geomorphology of the locality, soils, plant communities, animal communities, like this. So all these things, there is research possibility. One can undertake research projects in all these aspects. So once somebody enters into the field of wildlife research, the scope is unlimited. So one has to find out what is the specific area of interest for him or her. That is important. One has to choose out of all these areas, all these fields. One has to select, one has to choose which particular field he is interested in and carry out further research in that. Okay.
That means scopes are ample, scopes are abundant,
Gayatri,
but
next.
okay, sir. That means students have to choose between different options or different
There's some
possibilities.
sound problem.
But okay, sir. The students can. The students have to
Hello.
choose between. Hello. The students have to. Sir, can you hear me? Everyone. The students have to choose
Hello.
between. Sir, I can hear you.
Is it audible?
Ajit sir. Yes, sir, you are audible. Ajit sir.
Yes.
You can hear? Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, here the point is coming. The students have to choose between different options or different possibilities. And I think from my very personal experience, I must say that
Hello.
counseling or the career counseling plays very important role. So the students should know that okay, these are the different options are available and these are possibilities are there, and they can choose it from their own comfortability or comfort zone. Ajit sir, so here we have discussed elaborately. These are the different options are there, different possibilities are there. The students can enter into any of the field if they are entering into wildlife research sector, from the management, from the ecosystem management, ecosystem study, biodiversity assessment, single species study, everything is there. The students are doing, and even many great organizations are there, research institutions are working in this sector. From the management perspective, when we talk about the applications of the research should have an application. So, from a management angle, how do you take wildlife research? Is the wildlife research is enough to be applied, or they need any kind of the elaboration or the diversification in some of the sectors so they can be applied in the wildlife sector? Because what we're finding, somewhere we are having a gap. Research is one part, management is one part. So what do you think? Is the wildlife research is enough? Is it stable, or it need further glorification or further diversification from a management point of view?
Yes, Gayatri, very important aspect is the research and its application in the forestry sector. Dr. Panigrahi and Dr. Sahu, he elaborated about the research scope of the research and all. I want I want to visualize the actually the near future of the forest department or forest, you can say. What is a forest at this present time? What is the forest? What is the role of forest? It is totally changed. That we were going through last 30 years, seeing the forest is a production sector, production forestry was there. So now it is not a production sector. It is more a ecosystem service provider. So when a forest, we say ki it is a ecosystem service provider, then the health of the forest is very important. Whether the forest we have in our geography, those forests are really healthy to provide the proper ecosystem service to the society. That is a big question now. No doubt we have a lot of forest cover. We have improved, we have increased our forest cover, but the forest cover, the forest which is there at, at a in a district or in a state or in India, the stretches of the forest, are they that healthy to provide the ecosystem to the society? That is the biggest question. And there the research comes. And because you see, for a healthy forest, there are 7 indicators. Those all 7 indicators, out of those 7 indicators, wildlife, it takes minimum 3 to 4 indicators. Let
Yes.
me check, let me tell you, there are 7 indicators. One is fragmentation. Is your forest is fragmented? It's the biggest question. Yes, a lot of forest is fragmented. So it is not a healthy indicator. Then second thing is that whether the density, if you look up, we know how to check the forest canopy cover and
Yeah.
for forest density and all. If it is an open forest, is it is less, it is less capable of providing the ecosystem
Services.
services than the dense forest. Then third is there 3 types of wild animal: avian, aquatic, and land animals. Okay, all three are existing in that forest or not. That is an indicator. So there it comes to study whether these 3 types of animals are there in a forest. If at all they are there, what is the food web? Whether the top of the food web tiger exists there. If tiger exists, then it is the most healthier forest. So then the fourth is that again, is there any endangered species, flora and fauna life? Is your forest have an endangered species or more endangered species? As much as endangered species are there, your forest is healthy. Fifth is your population matrix, whether
Yes.
young, adult, and old, all kind of population in existing flora and fauna, they exist there. Again, it is a wildlife research. It is both botany and zoology, both has to study. Yes, in
Yes.
this forest, all the population size are existing. Then again, it is soil fertility, humidification. You can say the microbes and everything, whether they present for proper humidification or not. Then seventh is your water quality, whether your water quality inside the forest is proper or not. So all these 7 indicators that say your forest is healthy, and if it is healthy, then it can provide the ecosystem service. So in coming years, we have to evaluate our forest in this manner, where they have to lead the things.
That means our priority is that suppose we are entering into wildlife research sector, our priority or the goal or the core objective is to safeguard the forest. That's our priority. Okay. So if you talk about the forest, then you should visualize the forest in such a way that okay, this is the forest and as a researcher, I have to give the best of my contribution to find out how the forest is and what are the different condition of the forest is. So we have many options out there. So can you please, just elaborate exactly when a student enter into a research sector or when they enter into a forest area. So from a manager perspective, what you can suggest? Okay, you are coming and you focus on these parameters because study pattern or the curriculum is different. When you are entering into a field, that is a different one. As a manager, you are working at the field. You are working from the field. So you better know, okay, a forest needs this research and research on these sectors. It's elaborative. So the student get a perspective, okay, I'm entering and I have to focus on these points. They make their goal clear.
Yes, it's a very good question. So it is, you can say it is a demo kind of thing. Once a researcher or a student of wildlife, he enters the forest, he or she enters the forest, what should be his behavior, attitude, and everything. You see, Gayatri, when we were in training, we were told that a forester or public a wildlife researcher or anybody like this, a path follows them. If path inside the forest follow them, means if you are the person who
Leads
who
the path.
create a path, yeah, you
Leads
create a
the
path,
path. Yeah.
leads the path. It there is no path previously, you created a path and everybody follows you. That is the whole essence of the wildlife research kind of thing. Once you are entering to the forest, and mostly the researcher, they I have seen, I have worked with the researchers, eminent researchers also. They first of all they get mesmerized with the entire situation, because it is the nature, it is the forest that provides so much thing at a particular time. It is very difficult on your area, because there are a lot of things to learn, lot of things to observe, and lot of things to analyze and all. So at a particular time, we have to focus our own, where we have come. That is the important thing. What is the basic objective we are here. So by focusing on your objective, and once you start, a researcher, wildlife researcher has to go on a trail. That is very important. As Dr. Hemant Sahu sir was telling, a lot of girls are there now in present batch of NOU, yeah. But a wildlife researcher has to walk on a trail, otherwise he cannot reach to its objective and all. In a trail inside the forest, moving around and observing and collecting data and surveying and everything, it is just like what you can say, you are the master of your own things. Nobody is there to guide you, nobody is there to say you what to do, what not to do. There in your at your present mindset, at presence of your mind, you have inside the forest. Once you are, as much you are presently involved in your things and presently observing a heavy presently many things that that actually happens in besides you in the forest, those observations they will strengthen your research.
So sticking to the core objective is most important. Here we are saying the university sends them with lots of data and lots of ideas are there. Every student they want to execute all of the ideas when they enter into the forest. So can we say that? Can we expect that department because they need the for researchers? They cannot do or they cannot move or progress without the researchers. Universities, they prepare the researchers, they prepare them for the future endeavors. Graduation level, they prepare the motivate the students. A graduation student or university student and the when enter into the forest. These are the three parameters or the 3 points or dots are there. Somewhere we are finding that dots are not connected. The at the end, even after completing the student MSc or the MPhil, they are no, they don't find a way. Okay, where you have to go and what you have to do. These are the questions that we have got already. So, can we link the three of the parameters together? The forest management would say, okay, these are the requirements of us. Accordingly, the university will prepare the students, and accordingly, the graduation level education will prepare them. So these are the joining the three dots in the wildlife resource sector. Can we find those things in the near future so that at least the researchers should not suffer? What happening? Researchers are suffering. So these are the
Yes, that
questions
is,
from
yeah,
three, three of the guest I am asking.
yes,
So
that is a very real issue you have told in the wildlife research. For that reason, Dr. Hemant Sahu must be knowing during my stay in Similipal, we had started a concept of School of Similipal Center. Okay. So that what is that kind of center? There, the researcher, existing researcher, those who are already in the work in the field, and the management and the budding researcher from the university students and all three will interact with each other on a particular landscape issue or landscape management issue. So those school of centers will be premier kind of thing. In Odisha, we can have minimum 5 to 6 such centers. Suppose in a Simlipal, in another is Satkosia, another is if you go for the Koraput area, there you can go for a center for that, and also for this
Bhitarkanika
STL
is
kind
also
of
one.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Rajnagar, that Bhitarkanika area.
Bhitarkanika.
So we have
Yeah.
7 to 8 hubs where we can search centers where the present eminent researcher, the managers and the budding researchers, both three can interact each other on the present issues, not in the past issues. Or so through that school of center or school, we can. Uh, we can do a lot of things very easily, and the research can also be very much useful to the managers.
the most important aspect. Let everyone to come out together, and the goal is nature and the nature conservation. Uh, so then, Hemanta sir, sir, I just want to focus on one thing that different because funding is a major issue for everyone those who are including into the research sector. Because of the
Yes.
funding, many of the students are not pursuing the PhD. But they have interest, they have all those scopes, they can contribute best in the way. So from the university or the at the university level, what are the different scope of the scholarships or students avail. So is the universities providing its own scholarship or through the university they can avail any of the scholarships. So this is a question for
Actually, okay, okay. The university has no such a scholarship for any student for any department. But if they can apply for Government of India after the completion of their MSc in wildlife, they can apply for any project. They can apply to project to forest department because we are getting projects from forest department. They can apply to forest department, PCCF wildlife office, and they can put it in their RSC meeting, and they can present their own project, and they can get their fund. And students are also getting this. And after PhD also they can go for their postdoctoral fellowship with their DST is giving their money to them. And one postdoctoral fellowship was also work was also done in Northwest University, and he is now in Amity University.
yes.
So university has no such in the present scenario. The university has no such any scope for any funding for wildlife students.
They don't have the scope, but the students they can avail different kind of the funding options from the different outer
They
sources.
can apply for funding. They can apply for funding under our guideship. They can apply for any funding to any funding agency, so that university can forward these applications and the fund will come to university and the students will work.
Thank you, sir. Ajit, sir, my
Yes.
this is my very personal question because what I have observed, people are working in the sector of wildlife research. Our data are very important for the wildlife management and everything. But what I have observed, most of the students they don't get a funding from the forest department. Uh, Funding are there. I don't know what about there. The funding is there, but at least for the research sector, what I have observed in different states because it's a competitive state. In different states, we see the wildlife research funding is there. People are getting funding so that, but here the funding for the wildlife research is we cannot say zero or the nil, but it's a negligible one. At the present scenario, we don't. Okay, in your division, you are having two research scholars. But we don't find those kind of research scholars in other divisions. Even we are applying for the such subject review committee or something. The funding are not approved or they are not being given. What is the major issue? Don't we think this is a drawback from the department and how this can be solved or how this problem can be addressed?
Actually, funding is never a problem. What I know about this situation, funding is never a problem. The problem is that uh, to get the opportunity to work in in wildlife research and to get funded is the gap. Why
Yes,
the gap is there? Why there is the gap? Because uh, what are the issues that we want to deliver? Because it is all about a delivery system. Because in a government system or any kind of system, what we deliver, that is more relevant. Once the issues we identify properly and we go for a research on that for analysis and development of the forest and wildlife, it is well and fine. You will get the funding. Funding is not a problem. Second thing is that as the students from the university, they are very novice, very fresh, and they don't have an idea how to gather funds, how to get funds. These qualities will never impact on them. So the role of the institution there it comes very important. Like
that's very
North Orissa University or any other university, those have to discuss with the government and they have to find out the issues that actually for which research is required, and on that basis they have to process the initial things for the students, for the freshly graduates or fresh researchers, and they can start a work. That for that reason I was telling the school of center that
yes,
I
center
was telling about the
different
center.
centers at
So
different
if we establish the centers with these three collaborations, then funding is there. In Kampa we have a funding. In site specific wildlife management issues are coming now. A lot of forest
yes,
diversion proposals are there and all. In my division, I have engaged two researcher. They are
yes.
from site specific wildlife conservation. Okay, so a lot of site specific wildlife conservations schemes are there, so we can insert the research there also. It is required also. So but the whole thing is that we cannot expect the fresh people, the students passing from the passing postgraduate and all. They will directly come and they can raise the fund or they can get the fund. How they will get the fund, a lot of things are there. So for that, the alumni, or you can say, or the professor of that institution, you can say, they have to like in other technical institution, there is a, you can say, placement cell like this. Here the institution has to what facilitate them, and they
Take the
should
initiative to
yeah, they should fill the gap between the government funding and the students, so that immediately they can be absorbed in a lot of research work that is required at the field.
that means funding is never an issue. The problem or the gap is finding finding out mm, the core objectives on which we have to work. Department, there should be a close nexus between the department, forest department, and the universities, so that some because department knows better
See
on
now
which
in this present condition, you see, if you analyze last 3 to 4 months of development in Indian scenario, yeah, national scenario, how many issues have come up for wildlife research? You will see the outbreak of corona. Now they are linking the source and the linking to the wildlife. Okay. Second thing, it is you see the death of an elephant in Palakkad, Kerala. It is linking. You just see, and it has a social issue also, a social angle also.
yes,
So in our state also there are a lot of deaths of elephant for electrocution, development, and all kind of thing. So again, it is an issue mitigation measure. Whether we are properly doing a mitigation measure or not, that is a big question. It is to be researched out, analyzed. Second, again, pangolin is an burning issue.
yes.
Pangolin issue. Then
Wildlife traffic, wildlife
yes,
traffic.
and we have told that in 5 years we have the highest highest increase in the forest cover. It is a statement of the Ministry of Environment. So if there is a forest cover increase in the forest cover, then what is the dynamics of the wildlife? It is a big research field. So like that, every one and every day, yeah, next in 2 days we have an wildlife related issue which has to be researched out. So a lot of scopes are there, but we cannot say ki for taxonomy kind of thing, for primates kind of thing, these are the issues, no problem. But what exactly for the development kind of thing, for the conservation kind of thing, what exactly we require, that has to be addressed priority on priority basis. And for those priorities, I don't think a fund is a problem.
That means along with basic research, we have to focus on the priority based on the need of the hour, because environment is changing, priorities are changing, landscapes are changing. So along with the changing natural landscapes, our research should also modify us, move along with the time, move along with the changing natural conditions. Then only the research can sustain or research can contribute its best. Because your research is not about just data finding or something, it have to contribute. If it is not contributing, then research is one side and the management is one side. They're not getting complementary of each other. So here, mm, this is. I think we have covered 1 hour. 1 hour discussing it over. So I'm sorry for my fault that I cannot attend most of the time. So there are many questions are there, because many issues are there. We cannot cover all of them in 1 hour. Many questions are there because from the students, those who have, sorry, the participants, those who have registered, they have some questions are there. So we will cover them in a very brief, brief way, because we cannot elaborate in 1 hour. We will try our best. So Poonam Gupta from Baripada, she is asking, how can we implement proper management strategies to deal with human-wildlife conflict? Uh, Ajit sir,
Yes.
Ajit sir, uh, Poonam Gupta from Baripada, she is asking, how can we implement proper management strategies to deal with human-wildlife conflict? It's a very big question, but we can't
Yeah,
elaborate.
it's a totally human wildlife conflict. Uh, you see, it is totally a dynamic issue, you can say. It differs from place to place, from forest to forest, from corridor to corridor, and in cross section of the demography, the situation has to be analyzed. The more the problem is where we lose the property in shape of crop damage, in shape of human lives, as well as wildlife death and all. So to address all these things, we require somebody has to bridge the gap between the people and the department,
Yes,
and we have we have to ensure that people should know, as a citizen, he should know what is its fundamental duty towards to be compassion towards the wild animal and protection and conservation of the nature. So all these issues we have to address it in a very definite manner and day to day basis in a management scale. You can say in my division, it is a day to day issue, you can say. So there we require these research experts, those who can guide us. What are the methods we have to integrate to reduce the human elephant conflict, to address the people for going for alternative issue, alternatively what they can do, and how to lot of measures we have to decide. That has to be researched out, and it is possible only if we start working at the real affected areas, you can say. We cannot sit in Bhubaneswar or we cannot sit somewhere and we can address these issues. We have to attend those affected areas. We have to communicate with the people. We have to communicate with the department managers, and we can find a lot of solutions. And it is possible in my sense. Yes, it is possible.
Yes, it's possible and positive. We can say we can observe positive responses from all the facets or from all the angles are there. Hemanta sir, there is one question for that. Jyoti Shankar Mishra from Keonjhar, he's asking how to choose a topic for wildlife research and what could be a technique and
What is that?
strategy. How to choose a topic for wildlife research and what could be a technique and strategy to complete research for a MSc dissertation and how to complete it with a short period of time and the scope after PhD in wildlife research. The important words he is asking uh, how to complete a MSc dissertation and to complete it again within a short period of time. Jyoti Shankar Mishra.
No, it is not audible. Not audible. Can you tell again?
Uh, he's asking that how to choose a topic for wildlife research and how could
How to?
and what how to
Choose a
choose
topic for
topic
wildlife research.
topic for wildlife research. Wildlife research ପାଇଁ ଗୋଟେ topic ଟେ କେମିତି ଆମେ choose କରିବା? So can you hear?
It is not audible. No, not audible. Not audible. Not audible completely.
Not,
Can Ajit sir, can you tell what she is asking?
ସେ ପଚାରୁଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ୱାଇଲ୍ଡ ଲାଇଫ ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ପାଇଁ କେମିତି ଆମେ ଟପିକ ଟେ ଚୁଜ୍ କରିବା
and what could be technique and strategy to complete research for a
and what
MSc
should be the
dissertation?
technique, what should be its technique to complete it.
MSc dissertation within a short period of time.
Within a short period of time, how to
MSc dissertation.
Yes, sir. MSc dissertation.
MSc dissertation.
Okay, no. Actually, the first of all, you have to complete the graduation level. Then you have to appear the entrance examination. Then you will take admission in MSc Wildlife in Northwest University. In the university, there are in the curriculum in the second year they have the project work, not in the first year. And the project work they have also 4 semesters, and the last semester is for project work. And the project work, they have to choose their project work according to their field and their guide. In consultation with their guide, they can choose their field work and they can do.
So after it's a completely coordination with your guide and how to choose a topic, and because your guide will be guiding you, no one else. So you have to
Yes.
within a short period. Again, it's
now
not
within
possible.
no. That is not within, because wildlife research you cannot complete in a short period or a long period. It has no. You have to complete in that a short span of time, you have in one semester you have to complete it. In the 4 semesters they have the project work. So you can complete it in 6 months. That means you have to complete in 5 months and 1 month writing. In 5 months you have to collect the data, write the thesis, and you have to submit.
Okay. Dear Jyoti Shankar, this is wildlife research and we cannot make a shortcut into it. That's why this is called wildlife research, and you cannot say that you have to complete it in a short period of time and you are having less time. So if you are passionate, enter into the sector and contribute your best of the time. Okay. Prasanna Kumar Thala from Bhubaneswar is asking, what are the scope for an individual to research independently? An independent researcher, how, what are the different scopes are there and how they can contribute?
Independent research in because in independent research he can do in the locality, in the particular locality, because it does not mean that wildlife means they, and wildlife research does not mean that they will work in a national park or sanctuary. They can work in their own locality. In the own locality, if they can prepare there, how many birds are coming and what are the arthropods they are finding, what are the molluscan finding there in that particular area, what are the water quality, they can correlate with that. So there is no need that they should go for any national park or sanctuary. If they do so, because they need some permission from the PCCF and also need some funding. But if individually they can want to do, they can one in their own locality. I think it will be better for him to work in their own locality. First see your own locality, then you can go for broader
Higher
area,
location. Broader area.
higher location.
Jai Krishna sir, can you throw light on this? How an individual they can do independent research, because research is something, PhD is something different. So can we motivate our students or the graduation level students in this sector so that they can carry out independent research irrespective of whether they are funded or whether they are into MSc or MPhil or not? Can we motivate them, the graduation level students into this sector? Jai Krishna sir.
Jai Krishna sir.
It's not audible to me. It's not audible. How to motivate?
Yes, so how to
The
motivate the graduation students so that they can be an independent researcher, whether they're
Okay.
entering irrespective of their higher qualification, how they can contribute.
Okay, there is a question here. There is a question here by Dr. Sabarjit Mohanty regarding the
Sir,
graveyard of elephants. I would like to answer to that. We are required to change our orientation. How? Presently, what is happening? Some problems are arising. Immediately, we are becoming very much serious and attentive, and something is being done. This is how we are approaching at present to various wildlife and environmental issues. What we are supposed to do, we have to change our orientation. What the state is supposed to do, we have to make a thorough, detailed study of the whole state. What are the problems, main issues, challenges that we are confronted with from time to time? Dr. Mohanty has specified one problem, elephant issue. Everybody knows that the government has declared for establishment of 14 elephant corridors since 2010. But till today, it has not been practically done. And recently, one judgment was from the Green Tribunal to expeditiously complete the corridor work. Okay, unless there is some pressure, somehow we are unable to complete all these works in advance. My suggestion is that the whole state has to think thoroughly about all the environmental issues, all the wildlife challenges, so that we can have a long-term plan, and researchers will be engaged in different areas, different frontiers. A student passing wildlife MSc is going from pillar to post, searching for a project. That should not be the approach. Our approach should be, the state is already having a detailed plan, chalked out plan. We are having so many research projects already. When somebody is approaching for some funding or assistance, he or she must be engaged in all these issues or problems. Okay, that way we can handle the issues in a better way. Long-term planning is essential. We have to find out what are the issues with us, challenges with us, and so far a particular researcher is concerned, I would like to give one example of Chelia and Sukumar from Indian Institute of Science. They were assigned a project. They went to Kaziranga to find out the details of the elephant population, the breeding, etc., etc. They were there in the Kaziranga National Park for 458 days in 3 consecutive years. You see how much of perseverance, patience they must be having, so that they can handle the issue in a better way with some concrete outcomes, results. So we need action like this. Okay. So this elephant issue, man-elephant conflict, this has been continuing for some time, but the solution is not that easy. That's why, what is my suggestion? At the state level, we must be having a consortium of experts, both forest officers, retired forest officers, academics, and others who are involved with environment and wildlife. Such a consortium, think tank, can handle most of the problems. That should be our approach. Okay.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable suggestions. Ajit, sir, you want to say something on this? The
Yes,
consort.
it is actually a burning issue of elephant death in the state and in the Indian scenario. As I have told you earlier also in this platform, the
Yes.
way we should mitigate our development process. I have told you about a laying of alignment of a PMGSI road, you can say, or laying out a electric transmission poles. And during all these developmental activities, we have to be very thoroughly examine and analyze its impact on the elephant movement. Otherwise, going 2 years after this whole development process, the road embankment must be raised by 12 feet, yeah, 10 to 12 feet. Thereby, the electric pole missions, that pole height will be reduced, and a poor elephant, he must be coming into the, what is the situation. So while we are why we are going for the development or construction of these infrastructures, at that particular point, the engineers, while preparing the DPRs, they should involve the wildlife researchers, as I was telling you previously also. I found a geography student in the wildlife experts seat in the a very big company, national level company, preparing DPR for that road. So we have to be equipped with the wildlife research kind of thing in our infrastructure process, so that we can mitigate from there only, so that in future it will not be detrimental to the elephant or any wild animal. That is very important.
Dr. Satpathy, the
One thing
geography student, geography enter into GIS study.
Yes. Yes. GIS study, with the GIS study also, you see, there is a guideline that any kind of electric pole kind of thing, transmission lines, once we are installing, if it is within the elephant movement area, then that should be a cabling kind of thing, or you can go for underground, or you put a cabling, HT, high transmission lines, those kind. Okay, so that if you
One
go
thing
for
I want to
cabling,
say in this regard, okay.
yes, yes, let me complete.
One thing
Once
I
you
want
go
to
for
say that this that human animal conflict is mainly due to mainly three things, because the wildlife requires three things to survive. One is food, another is habitat, and third one is protection. Because this animal human conflict is increasing because we are destroying their habitat, and in search of food, the human animal conflict is increasing. So three things are required for these three things. One is food, another is habitat, and the third one is protection. If we can that equalize these three things, then that human animal conflict can be solved.
yes, that is very true. But if we analyze the death of elephant now at the present situation, you can say the death in the road accident, or death due to train accident, or death due to
Yes, 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 yes.
electrocution. If we analyze
Mm.
all these things that is happening, suppose it is electrocution. Why there is an electrocution? Because that transmission line, it is exposed. It is open. Okay. The
Unaware.
tra- the people in living in fringe of the forest area, to reduce the wild boar
While
damages for their area, they lay actually the electrify their whole things. How they get it electrified? From the transmission line directly, that is going over their land. But it is mandatory that those electric lines should be cabled. It should be insulated. Okay, sir. If
Okay.
it is insulated, for a illegal hooking kind of thing to the things. Okay, so that is again, that is an issue. Again, in road structure, in the rural roads, in the PMHSI road, that is okay. In highways or state highways, it is all right. We are going for the mitigation measures and everything we are going. But for this rural roads, if we raise the embankments for 10 feet, you can go to the any village and go for the rural roads. They have raised the embankments for 10 to 15 feet. An elephant cannot move now there. And the elephant which was crushing the road through nalas and all, they have put small bridges. An elephant
yes,
cannot go, it cannot use a underpass also. So the movement of the elephant is restricted there. So the elephant, the herd actually try to find out different other routes to reach its destination during the movement. So by that, it comes across these humanity or habitations or a lot of new things on its way and gets affected. So we have to minutely observe all these things, and during the during the construction only, during the construction, the infrastructure only, we have to address all these
issues.
so that in the future it will
Okay.
not be detrimental for the elephant. Those things we have to analyze, those things we have to taken into account while we are preparing the plan of the road or transmission lines and everything. You will see 100% of the cases, or more than that, it is only due to there is not a proper mitigation measure.
Yes. So here the point is development is for the present time, but if we're talking about mitigation measures or the safety of the wild animals or the wildlife, then we have to think beyond some 10 years, because our vision should be a 10 years vision if we're talking about the wildlife, though the present situation or the development is for the present time. And along with the ecological studies, behavior study of the animal is most important, and we have to observe the behavioral changes of the different kind of animals, and same kind of mitigation never can be applied for all the variety of animal. Like for the elephant, mitigation measure is different. For wild boar, mitigation measure different. For the tiger, mitigation measures are different. And this point, research is playing its major role and the most important role. What we are observing or what we see from a bird's eye view or from aerial view or from a wider angle, but it must have to be minutely studied by the wildlife researchers or those who are working in this wildlife management sector. So the next question is Milbren Abyss from Philippines. She's asking, please give some advice or tips on conducting wildlife assessment studies. Hemanta sir, this is tips on conducting wildlife assessment studies. So, whether this assessment is only for the present time or how it can be useful for the management perspective. Her question is. Dr. Hemant sir. Sir, can you hear me?
Sir, Hemant sir ni pachatu. Hemant sir pai question.
Hello.
Hello.
Hemant sir pai question.
Sir, question. From Philippines,
Now-
one question is there that please throw some light on advice or tips on conducting wildlife assessment studies. How to conduct wildlife assessment studies.
How to assess the wildlife population?
Wildlife assessment studies. Okay, population you can say how to assess the
population
wildlife
study. How could you do the population study?
How could you? Population study.
Population.
How can we conduct population study of wildlife?
Then there are so many methods. Suppose we are go for any ungulate study of ungulate in any forest. We can go for in the transect. We can go for the transect, and in the transect also we can draw the what is called the method is. Yes, that
transect method.
I am forgotten. Transit method. By transit method, we can count the transit method. We can do that, and for carnivore, we can do that Pogwar method, and also that camera trap method, and for birds, we can go for any point count and that cloud count. We can go for the birds. There are so many methods according to the animal and according to the habitat. We can select what is the methodology we have to follow.
Milbren Abyss. Actually, this wildlife assessment is not a very it's a very elaborate one, wide study. So it needs elaborate studies are there. For each and every type of the animal, we have different kind of studies are there, different study methodologies are there. Even different countries do adopt different study methodologies because the landscapes are also different. Maybe in India we will be following something, and in Philippines they will be following something. So another question is there. One student, that anonymous, no name or there, but what she's saying, most of the students there, the problem is there. Students who are known to PI or the project in PI or come higher in reference are usually preferred. So the students those who are known to the PI they are preferred, and those who are not known to the PI are not preferred. I think. Okay, let's moving to the next question. Arindam Paricha is asking, why has Orissa failed to involve local communities? Why has Orissa failed to involve local communities and And the involvement of the local communities can also add to the management practices or the some data input. So why we are not involving the local communities when we are considering in Odisha case? Ajit, sir.
Yes. Why has
Uh,
Odisha failed to involve local community
yeah.
in conservation?
Why has Odisha failed to involve local communities in conservation efforts? The failure of tiger relocation program at Satkosia was majorly due to non-sensitization of local communities before translocation of the tigers. Uh, what steps need to be taken in this regard? I believe wildlife research should also include village community need understand and finding solution for coexistence.
Exactly. We have actually, if you go to Wildlife Act, you will find a lot of spaces have been created in the different name, like from national reserve, then sanctuaries, all these things, and with that there is also conservation reserves. Conservation reserves means there the wild animal, wildlife, and habitation, habitats, human beings, both try to coexist. But unfortunately, in Odisha, we don't have a conservation reserve kind of thing. So those
Yes.
concepts should come up along the protected areas or nearby protected areas, so that people start living with coexistence in nature. And people there are certain places you must be knowing um, in Balishai of Bhanjanagar area, there is black buck
Blackbird is
remaining
there.
within the community and all. There are there are Pakidi. You can. It is also near Ganjam area. That is peacock is there in the community and all. But it is a small things actually. But conservation reserve is a very good component in the Wildlife Act. If we start working on it, that will really guide us through the coexistence, and the coexistence parameters should be there, and how the development and all kind of livelihood activities should be oriented, so that it will fit to the wild animal existence. So a lot of things we can find out through those processes. But now in the fringe area of the protected areas, we have the eco development committees, so that
Yes.
they are uh, there is the community participation in conserving and protecting the wildlife. So these eco development committees, in the a lot of activities are going on, and they are protecting the forest and the wildlife in the vicinity of the villages, and they are learning how to coexist with the wild animal. So these are the new areas where the department is working, and it is very meaningfully it is working. But the whole issue is the livelihood options of the people. The livelihood options of the people has to be diverted from the forest issues. Non-forest livelihood options should be there, so that they depend less on the forest and they start conserving the forest. And we can add it here the ecotourism concept, from where the community get immediate benefit from conserving the wildlife and forest. So, like in South Kosia, you see that the tiger which is there in the South Kosia, it has come from, you must be knowing, a very important landscape, MP, where the people are very much worried that their tiger has come here. Okay, but here our people, they are not ready to accept it, because they don't know what is the value of a tiger, because there it is the crores of ecotourism by seeing a tiger from the people, so they know the whole value. But here in South Korea, they have never been they have never been exposed to such things. So it should be a gradual process of exchange of learning and exchange of views, how to protect or conserve wildlife, because it is a new area of introducing a tiger in the South Korea landscape. It's a new area, totally it is a new experience for entire Odisha. But once those people were, suppose in, like you see, now you introduce as much crocodile in Gahirmatha or Bhitarkanika, there won't be any
problem
problem
will
because
not be there.
people know what you now introduce as much bird, whatever more species, because they have taken advantage of those conservation measures. That things I think South Korea people they have never
Been
experienced it. So that was a big failure. I think.
okay. So uh, we have to accept
Jai Krishna sir will say.
that Krishna sir.
I would like to add something.
Yes, yes.
I would like to add something to this. You see, so far Sundar issue is concerned, uh, initially a lot of studies were conducted by the state involving NTCA was there, Wildlife Institute of India was there, the habitat study, the prey-based study, all these things were there. But one thing, and the tigers were brought from Madhya Pradesh to South Korea, and ultimately the project was a failure. It was not successful. Only one deficiency was there, network building with the local communities that was lacking somewhere. That's why the same Satkusha forest was housing tigers earlier. As far as record goes, maybe more than 6 tigers were there earlier. Recently, one example I would like to cite, Maharashtra government has decided to translocate 50 tigers from those forests where the number has exceeded the carrying capacity to other areas within Maharashtra state where tiger number is less. So within a state they are having 50 excess tigers, they are translocating them to other required forests. On the other hand, we were not successful rehabilitating only 2 tigers. So networking, involving the local communities, making it a mass movement, these things were lacking somewhere. So that
That means
lesson we have learned. That is the lesson we have learned. So we should not go back. We have to
yes.
move forward so that in future such initiatives should bring success to us. We'll feel proud that this state, the people of this state, they are also capable of protecting tigers. Okay, that set up temperament, mindset, involving people, making it a mass movement, that should be there.
Yes, people participation, people
Okay.
acceptance, people involvement in all of the process is very important. The psychology is also important. How do they accept and how do they be a part of all the management procedures? So our next question is, sir, is there any service training programs or diploma programs in wildlife research? She's asking, is there any service so far as from the forest department? Do you have any Ajit sir?
Pardon? Yes.
The question is there any service training programs or diploma programs in wildlife research? I think in Odisha Forest Department does not have such kind of
No, it is
program.
only in the WII, Wildlife Institute 6 months course is there for diploma and all.
Diploma. Okay, but in Odisha we are not having such.
No, but actually, during every training that is conducted for the forest guard and foresters and range officer for the officers level also, wildlife is a major subject matter, so that the guard, forester, and everybody they get acquainted with the wildlife issues.
But I think we should that already what we are talking about to connect the dots and to connect the university and the management level,
Yes.
requirements. And then we need to have some such kind of the short-term courses so that the students before entering into the forest landscape or any wetland landscape, they must know exactly the forest needs this, the wetland needs this, and accordingly they will prepare themselves. Yes, I have to come into this sector and I have to give my best in these parameters. So it will help them, the students, to garner knowledge on, prepare themselves into the. Another question. Yes, Ajay sir. Sir, this is question from Sheikh Sajan. That he is asking, is endemic species should be also an indicator species? The question is there in the screen.
Is endemic species is should
Should
also
also an
no endemic species, no, it is, if I have it is wrongly, I think I have told, it is endangered, rare endangered species. Okay, if they are in the in the landscape, in your forest landscape, then it is a rich forest.
okay, that's a rich forest, but so far as endemic is concerned, endemic, they're very limited. They're okay. We can
Yes,
say, we can
we
say,
can, we cannot say that
we cannot say it's an indicator. Okay, we can say indicator, but that does not say that okay, it's a rich species.
yeah.
And one question: drilling and mining causes harm to wildlife. Ajit sir, the question
Yes,
is
of course,
drilling.
of course, drilling and mining, they are major threat for the wildlife movement and all. And mining and mining things are going on because it is again a revenue issue, development issue, you must be knowing. But for that, a lot of mitigation measures we have to follow. And as I say, in Western countries, they follow very strict mitigation measures and high tech mitigation measures, so that their flora and fauna, they don't get that much damaged, or they better conserve those things while doing farming and other activities also. So we have to study on that issues, and how to suppose, let me give you an example to you. Suppose I am here in my area, Doitari Orissa Mining Corporation is there, Doitari Orissa Mining Corporation. Okay, so from there iron ore is extracted. So if we start transporting it through the four wheelers, or you can
Yes,
say by the vehicle, it is
crops,
such a
vehicles.
huge nuisance, for the wildlife and all. So what the government is doing, it is uh, building one, you can say, conveyor belt system. Okay,
Yes.
so it is not required for transportation by the road. The
Uh,
entire load will come through the conveyor
Sir,
belt.
excuse me. Sir, we are getting short of the time. We have to conclude it within
Yeah.
5 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Because
So by that, these are the technical, technological interventions to reduce the mitigation measures and all. Suppose there are road stretch we are going through the forest department, a forest road stretch are going on. Now if we go for the flyovers, okay, it will
yes.
raise only 30 to 40 crores of rupees at a particular time today. But for coming 100 years, that wildlife movement and all kind of forestry conservation issues below that flyover, it will be intact. It will give you, it will never fragment. It will build your conservation very strongly. So looking to 30 to 40 crores enhancement in the project, we are not now doing it. But if we really do it, we can mitigate a lot of things in future. So such measures we have to take, though we go for mining or any infrastructure development or any development process.
So our vision should be very perfect that we are not working for. We are working at the present time, but our vision should be, beyond the 10 years. What we want to visualize after 10 years, because 10 years scenario will not be the same. So accordingly, we have to work and we have to plan. So one question is for Hemanta sir, but sorry. Okay. Sir, in that and one question is, can we use solar energy? Or what the next question is, what they're saying. Okay. Can we use solar power to avoid electrocution deaths?
Yes, we can. We can use the because in the sanctuary areas, we are not going for the electrical transmission line. There we are going for the solar power. So solar power is a good alternative to reduce the electroculation.
Okay. Then one question by Hemant, sir. Sir, can you hear? Sir, the other
Money.
question is no, Pallavi Mahapatra. No, Pratik is not the question. Yes, the question is Pallavi Mahapatra. She is asking my question to Mr. Hemanta Sausra that what do you say is really drawback to take a girl student in this wildlife field, and is this exactly hindrance in research? Taking a girl student into a wildlife research sector.
Actually,
I think
let me reply
okay.
for this. Nowadays in our department also a lot of lady forest guard, lady foresters, lady officers are there. So I don't think there will be any problem. Girls cannot be girls. There will be a problem for the girls and all. Because in Simlipal, in the core of the core area, there is a lady forest guard is there. So there is absolutely no problem.
So
When
Gayatri, I would like to add one point more.
sure.
Wildlife research starts from fields and ends in laboratories. Okay,
Yes, yes, very correct.
till DNA sequencing. So it is not necessarily a girl is required always to go deep into the forest for research. There are so many different aspects of research, starting from deep field study up to DNA sequencing and other laboratory tests. So depending on the ability, so one has to choose what area of research she will like to prefer. Okay, so it's a vast subject. There are many areas which are very much suitable to girl students.
So
And the host
if
is
a
the host herself is a researcher. She knows.
that
She
that I want to throw on this topic from very personal, being a girl is not at all very hindrance or a burden to enter into a wildlife research sector, because wildlife research, what I'm saying, we have to work in the forest department or the forest sector. So I think forest department is one of the most safest department where a girl can work 24 into 7. That the most cooperative, and even I'm having my lots of projects in the forest department. I'm going along with the department squads and the forest guard and forester. So I have never felt that okay, being a girl, it's been a very very a drawback for me, that why I have entered into research. So in fact, I find being a girl, you connect with the people very finely. You can connect with the local people. You can uh, observe many issues that are being ignored by many of the male researchers. So I find being a girl, very finely you can enter into research sector. You can contribute very beautifully. But yes, your passion should be there. You must be challenging. You must not complain about moving on the track or moving or walking for a long distance. So along with all your passions and with a hope or a positive response or positive thought to contribute to the wildlife sector, any girl can enter into this wildlife research sector, because wildlife research needs everyone. And so I think almost all the questions are there, but we are going short of the time. Okay, so it's not. Uh, so we have many questions are there, but I couldn't cover all of them. So I think Hemant sir is not connected. I think the network issues are there. So it's been a very nice discussion. Though my network glitches are there, my network problems are there. Many important points what we have came across, that mitigation measures should be a very full-free mitigation measure. Behavioral studies about the animals should be there. Research should be conducted in all the aspects of the mitigation measures or the management practices, and conservation reserves. One important point what this you cited, that we should develop lots of conservation reserves so that it will make the people to adjust with the adjust with the wildlife, or we should have a cordial relationship with the wildlife. We can have a coexistence with the wildlife. The more we coexist, the less the wild animal man-animal conflict will be there. So overall, it is a kind of human behavior changes the whole of the perspective. How we receive the wildlife. Are they part and parcel of our life, or they are just another wildlife? So we have to receive them, we have to accept them. Then lots of conservation issues can be addressed, and the mm, wildlife conflict can also be solved. So it's been a very insightful talk, very positive talk, and also we'll be continuing with this. We'll be continuing with this session. In the next session, we'll be continuing this one. We'll be having, next session will be there with the young researchers. We will have a one-to-one talk with what the problems are there, what the challenges are there, because from this session, what we have seen, many scopes are there, but maybe there are the hidden scopes are there. Many of the students, they don't know exactly what those scopes are there. So that's why they are wandering just like a nightmare wanders there. So we have to make them well informed. Hope so. The career in the wildlife research is blooming, and we'll be having very fine researchers coming into this sector. So thank you, Jai Krishna sir, for your valuable suggestions and many insightful into the Sundari cases and the man-animal conflict. Thank you, Ajit Satpathy sir, because
Thank you very much.
okay.
Giving us an opportunity.
No, yes,
Thank you very much.
you will be getting we need each and everyone to come up together and should speak up, so that those who are in night or in darkness, they will get a ray of hope. So this is a ray of hope for everyone. And viewers, this is Gayatri Devi from Grow With Nature, and we are committed to provide you insight of facts, or the insight of many of the things those have been ignored by many of us. And hope so in the next session, Growth Nature will be coming with another beautiful interaction with our students. Because next session is with the wildlife researchers, young wildlife researchers. What the problems are there, what the challenges they are facing, and we'll be addressing them in a very positive note. Thank you everyone for your time. Thank you all the viewers and my guests. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All the best for the